Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, mana traders, as well as Twitch subs and Patreon supporters, just like yourself. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Power Dragon.
What's up, everybody? And I am not murdered, so that's awesome.
Yeah, Ruben Bressler.
Yeah, I'm not the murderer. Don't. I'm not the werewolf. Is that how we're playing? That's how we're playing.
That's what we're doing here. Now, if you missed our pre-show, patrons and subs of this channel get access to all that good stuff early. We kick it off with our first pick and our push of that magical code. Use promo code MagicMics to save 5% off anything at CoolStuffInc.com. Anything you want. Singles, sealed, supplies, whatever. 5% off. Use the promo code MagicMics.
And you guys have been killing it with that. We got some really nice feedback pertaining to the code being used a ton. So please keep doing that. Thank you so much.
And it doesn't even have to be on just Magic stuff. Yeah. If you want anything else, you want to get gifts for somebody, some D&D stuff, whatever.
Yeah, they have cool stuff.
Some hero clicks, man. Just whatever. You do you. But yeah, check that out and support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we rate tonight. All that thanks to sponsor CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every single day. And this week, we got a lot of 1-2 punches, I think is the way to put it. We're going to talk about this week. Like, nope, we're going to talk about this week. Nope, we're going to talk about this week. But I think we start with the biggest announcements of the week. And that is our first look at Murders at Karlov Manor. Now, this is a Ravnica set that isn't a Ravnica set per se. And it has some interesting cards in it. We have the new creature type of Detective, which I thought was super neat. We have cards like Lightning Helix coming back to Standard. Also very exciting. And they're doing some really weird, crazy stuff with this, is the way to put it. It looks like the one and only Planeswalker will be Kaya. Kaya Spirit's Justice.
Great. Which
will also be super fun. I do love the motifs of Ravnica that we get here a lot. There's going to be a new Krinko, for example. Everybody loves a good Krinko. And yeah, so we got a new thing that's tied into Clue. And it's not just like Clue with sort of wordplay. There's a whole thing that we'll get into. But ultimately, the idea that you're investigating a lot, there's lots of Clue tokens, that is as expected, honestly. And we'll kind of go from there. From what I can tell, I think it's Teysa Karlov that has been murdered. And that's the question.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering, if we're trying to figure out suspect number one who needs to be questioned, shouldn't it just be Massacre Girl? I mean, it's kind of in her name.
It's too obvious. Listen,
that's too obvious. But she might know somebody, you know?
That's true. She probably knows somebody. She's a good femme fatale.
Yeah.
I've read enough Agatha Christie to know that it's not the person you suspect.
Oh, yeah. It's usually not.
And we've got plenty of, like, shapeshifter people that live in Ravnica that one assumes are hiding in plain sight. So I'm excited to see the story progress.
I'm also hoping, it's funny you said, because I was just talking about this earlier, that I hope we get a lot of like really campy references. Like if we can get a Sherlock Holmes card, if we can get something that references like Murder, She Wrote, you know, like stuff like that would be fun.
We've got a couple already. We have Alquist Proft, Master Sleuth, who is the Sherlock Holmes equivalent, I think.
Right.
He's a human detective that kind of has Sphinx's Revelation if you sacrifice a clue on him. We've also got Meddling Youths.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was
which
kind of
unfortunately does not make a dog. I wish it made a dog token.
I thought that too. That would have been great.
But the alternate version of Meddling Youths flavor text references a particularly smart hound, which that's great. But yeah, there's a bunch of really cool stuff. We'll get
Columbo would be a good one.
Columbo. We'll get Hercule
a bald
Poirot.
dude in a trench coat.
Yep, we'll get all those guys.
Yeah, and there's a few interesting designs, like the Not On My Watch is a white and generic mana instant to exile target attacking creature. It's never been that cheap. That's just 2 mana, get it out of here. And that's very powerful removal. And you have the Deuce, which is a blue and a generic mana instant to draw a card and investigate. That's also very good. That card is going
to be very good.
It's super strong because at the end of their second turn, you can deduce, and if you don't draw your third land, you have the amount of mana to sack the clue to draw the card. So like it really works nicely on curve.
Now, hey, don't sleep on Fanatical Strength though. Like that's for 1 more mana, you get to give Trample to your Giant Growth.
It's true, and I
like that. That's
tramples on
real.
my giant growths. But yeah, it's neat. They have these detective sort of the what do they call the showcase dossier treatments, if you will. Dossier. Which is super rad.
You know, the file, the criminal file.
On these guys.
Very cool.
Now the special guests are, you know, cards that can be in the pack or whatever for whatever reason. And Crashing Footfalls is the first one revealed, meaning Crashing Footfalls is coming to Arena, meaning we get closer and closer to Modern showing up, particularly with Modern Horizons 3 next year coming to the client. Everything's going to change when it comes to that, which is rad. They showed off Aurelia, The Law Above, and Rakdos, Patient of Chaos. Those were both two
great
super cool
fun
cards.
and a commander card.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
I like how Aurelia is just like, it's war. Like, everyone's attacking.
Yeah.
Every version of Aurelia is like that, though. Like, just something dumb is going to happen during the attack step. So get to attacking.
Get crazy. And I appreciate Rakdos, Black Red 4 for a 6/6 Flample, Flying Trample. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-land, non-token permanents, aka things that matter. And if they don't, you draw 2 cards, which basically to me says you're drawing 2 cards every time.
That's price to move. I like that.
Yep.
That's a 6/6 for 6 that usually draws 2 cards and then dies. I'm okay with that, though.
It'll die, but you'll probably get 2 cards before it's over. And I like that.
The best part is it's not during upkeep. It's at the beginning of your end step.
Yes.
So you at least get one chance that it's going to trigger. Either they're losing stuff or you're getting cards one time.
Yeah.
Right. Which is kind of what, like, you know, you need that if it doesn't have an enter the battlefield ability, you need that trigger at the beginning of your combat, beginning of your end step, something to let you get that value, because we're just in a world where it's probably going to die quickly. So
it's kind of like
something.
You know, what we were talking about last set with Jamil, right? It's just getting at least one trigger off it at least feels good. Like you got something for that mana you spent.
Yeah.
I don't know if Impossible was the best moniker for these lands. Like, if I thought of an impossible land, I wouldn't call these that. You know what I mean?
Why are they called the impossible lands?
Yeah, I'm confused too.
Hey, they named them. They're full art impossible lands. Will stretch the mind.
Basics or the non-base? I don't understand.
The extended art basics. The plain.
Called the impossible lands?
Full art.
They just look like
lands.
Pictures of Ravnica.
I mean, I
if
understand.
Anybody has any explanation?
They didn't want to call them Eschers, right? I understand that.
Are they like Escher style?
They're kind of like infinitely connected buildings that are just one giant thing. And
they could have called them like geometric.
Yeah, they could have called them something weird and strange.
I would just call them cityscape lands because that's what they look like.
Yeah. I don't know if that's necessary, but we also get our play boosters right now, which is already here. Like, we're already pre-selling them on cool stuff. They already exist, and they do cost a little bit more, but you are getting 36 packs, which is nice. And they kind of explain what can be and all of these different things. You do get a foil in every pack, which is another cool thing. Now, here we go with the collector booster exclusive.
Yeah.
We have Invisible Ink.
That's dope. This is the coolest.
Ink.
This is the coolest treatment I've seen on a Magic card. I can't remember the last time I was this excited for a treatment of a Magic card.
No, I agree with you. I think that this is the type of fun, weird stuff that if you're going to be doing inserts or secret layers or whatever, use it for this, right? Like just some weird, like, and I'm cool with like the neon ink and all that. Like this is what we should be doing. Like just weird, outside the box, quirky things. And in this case, it happens to fit perfectly with the theme of the set.
Oh, I think it's brilliant in that, you know, this is the stuff that somebody at Wizards, like they sit there and like, what weird thing can we do to cards? They like, what about Invisible Ink? And somebody's like, wait, we've got this thing about detectives and finding clues and like, oh, we're going to make it happen. So like, I hope that there's something about like all of this Invisible Ink stuff leads to something or other. And that's going to be plastered all over the internet as soon as everyone gets their set or whatever. But I hope it's cool. I hope it's more involved than drink more Ovaltine. Like, please.
Yeah.
It'll probably tell us who done it, which is great.
Maybe. I'm just looking and saying, I don't know if it's a spoiler. I'm just conjecturing, but I'm it's Nicol Bolas, to let you know.
I want to make a sales pitch for Cool Stuff Inc. right now because people were freaking out on Twitter a couple days ago because the first boxes of this set went on to Amazon at like $200. And people are panicking. I was like, guys, we know every time something goes on to Amazon early, the first people there just put some dumb price because they don't know what it's going to sell for, and then eventually drops.
Yep.
You can go get those same boxes right now on Cool Stuff Inc. for like $140.
Yep.
Like, just go. It's there. Like, go shop. And then add stuff to your cart and get other things and use the code and make everybody happy. That's what you should go do.
Absolutely. So, moving on here, they do have serialized cards. This isn't a surprise. If anything, we're kind of just used to it by now.
Right.
But they remain pretty, which is cool. Okay, so the big play experience, if you will, change on this one is the Ravnica Clue Edition, or Cluedo in other places. This is going to be wild, and this revealed some of the weirdest, craziest stuff that I've seen in a minute. There's going to be like a whole clue booster or something that's just specified. They're going to give you like a little pad to like write down and try to figure out who did what and, you know, how to deduce and all this other stuff. And we see here Senator Peacock, where there's going to have, you know, not quite the characters in Clue, but close
enough
magic versions, which is kind of cute. The dining room land,
awesome,
which taps 4 mana to investigate, which is rad. And that is a Clue equipment.
Yep, the lead pipe.
Yep.
The lead pipe, if you can't see it, it's 1 black mana for an artifact-Clue equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Whenever equipped creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. And you can pay 2 and sack lead pipe to draw a card, and you can equip it for 2 generic mana. And that's just a Clue equipment. And
absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant. I love it.
It's kind of cool, too, because you could, like, hit the opponent with the lead pipe, and then you hide it.
Yeah.
Like, that's sort of like the feel I got from that card, which is hilarious.
So we've got 8 or 9 or 10 lands rooms on a Clue board.
Yes.
Which means that we're probably getting all of the 2-color pairs of this style of land, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
So we'll get the kitchen, we'll get the study, we'll get the trophy room, all that good stuff.
Right.
We'll get all the weaponry, probably including the pistol. So
I was going to say, will we get the revolver?
Right, the revolver, but we'll certainly get the rope. We'll get the wrench. You know, we'll get the rest of those. And then we got, you know, Miss Peacock, Colonel Mustard. Then I'm sure we'll get Professor Plum as like.
He's the black one.
Yeah. Oh, Professor Plum's. He'll be purple, so he's purple, so he'll be black.
Yep.
So
real talk though, this set
Headmaster
got
Plum.
like the worst expansion symbol because it all like.
Sure.
I saw that and I thought it was a made up card that somebody put up
same.
on one of those like promo creator proxy generator
because the
cards,
font's
whatever.
Different and stuff, which is also kind of weird. All right, so this is neat. I think this is rad. But Wizards, you're screwing up. And I'm sorry about this. And I don't know why you're doing it. I don't know why we're doing this. To give you some historical background here, Dominaria Remastered was not that great. It was an expensive set that stayed expensive, and the bottom dropped out a little bit. And there's plenty of it left over right now you can still purchase. And a lot of people got burned by it. And so Ravnica Remastered was not looking super duper hot. Well, one of the things that Ravnica Remastered is going to do is going to reprint Shocklands. And not just Shocklands, but old border Shocklands. That's great. Shocklands are worth money. People are very excited about that. And then, as a box topper in every one of these Clue kits, there's going to be extended art foil Shocklands included in every single package. What are you doing? Why are you like this? Do you not want Ravnica Remastered to sell at all?
Right.
This was not cool. And I understand this might have been the left hand doesn't know what Ravnica Remastered's doing, but like, they're not even coming in the standard. This is just another reprint that's going to have another, just, you know, chink in the armor for freaking Ravnica Remastered to do anything whatsoever. That set already has enough problems.
Yeah, I wondered that too. I was on the same boat because when I saw that, I was like, wait, so this isn't in Ravnica Remastered. Then I'm like, what are we putting in there? But I'm pretty sure they're just going to be in both sets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which is weird. Like, yeah, they did the timing wrong here. They should not have released these within 6 months of each other.
Honestly,
But
I
here we
don't
are.
think this product needs the Shocklands in there.
No, it didn't need it all. That's another part of it. It's like all of this cool stuff with the unique cards and the different way to play and this whole clue thing we do with like a little thing that we scribble on and everything. That's awesome. What the hell? Where did this come from? Why? I'm just telling you, just somebody on the Rad Brew Master team was like, why are you doing this?
Because realistically, how much do you think that those Shocklands are going to be worth in 4 months?
Not
Because we're going to
much.
get Ravnica remastered or whatever, right? So they're adding $8 of value?
Maybe.
Yeah,
They're
that's
gonna
what
drop
I'm saying.
to
Like,
$5 at this
yeah,
rate.
so it's not that big a deal to really even include them. So just leave them out, save them for your other set.
Yeah, like let Ravnica Remaster have something cool because the old borders are great. Don't get me wrong, love old border stuff, but you know, there's a point. There's that tipping point of like, yes, we like them to be game pieces, but we also like them to hold some amount of value.
Yeah.
Because they need it. You need some of that value, and you bundle them to death, you're going to ruin it. So that's weird. But overall, other than that bone to pick, I think this is brilliant and it's super cool. And I'm excited to try the Clue version of Magic.
If you're into Angels, that pre-order card they showed is cool.
Oh, the box stopper? Or no,
the
buy box?
3 mana, 2/4 vigilance, flying, and you possibly get an extra clue.
Yeah, the
every turn.
Wojak
that's
guy.
great.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I this is like as close to a home run as you can get, and the fact that there is at least one thing we can complain about means that we're still alive and living on this earth.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're still Magic
So,
players.
but like
still
this
feeling
is, we did it. You guys did it. Killing it so far. Great product.
Very cool. And do note beyond, I also hate that set symbol of just a C. Okay.
Yeah, it's real bad.
There's the Murders at Karlov Manor expansion symbols, which to me, and I even complained about this to Daniel Holt, who helps design these things. I was like, why is the Murder Mystery set not a magnifying glass? Like, huh?
Yeah.
But they tried it. It didn't work as well. And there's like a showcase version thing that has like a magnifying glass on parts of the card, which would also look kind of weird. But if you note, right there in the hilt of the sword is the Return to Ravnica symbol. You see it there on its side?
It's very cool.
Kind of tilted, very rad. And that's super cool. So I'm excited about that. But that Wojak Investigator we were talking about, that's pretty rad. I don't know if it's going to be constructed worthy rad, but it's going to be great in Commander.
I mean, it's priced to
card-
move 2/4
yeah.
for 3 with flying and like an ability that draws you cards and vigilance. Like that's not nothing. I don't know how much more you need.
That card's going to stonewall so many things in like mono red.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, they have to 2-for-1 it to get through it. Like the card's really good.
It's very strong. Again, you know, for me, I think, and it's the only angel detective, which is also super rad. Mm-hmm. Everyone loves their angels,
right?
But yeah, you can pre-order all this stuff right now at CoolStuffInc.com. Use Magic Mics to save 5%, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Cool. So that was Murders at Karlov Manor. I think it's starting fairly strong.
Hooray!
Yay! We made it our first pick to gather the townsfolk thanks to our sponsor, Mana Traders, the best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MAGICMICS for 12% off your next subscription with Mana Traders. Tell them we sent you, and we appreciate them supporting the show. All right, so the thing that I originally thought we would be talking about the most, which is that there was a ban and restricted announcement. Woohoo! And they have changed some things. In Standard, absolutely nothing changed because format seems all right. Pioneer, Karn the Great Creator is banned. That's been there for a hot minute.
Yep.
Geological Appraiser is banned. I think that's a little reactionary, but okay. They don't like combo decks very much anyway. Smuggler's Copter is unbanned. That's some spicy meatballs right there.
Yeah, great.
I love this card. It was way too good in its Standard heyday, but it's probably just right in Pioneer.
Right. Probably a little quick on the trigger for the Appraiser, but whatever. I guess they were worried, and they were right to do so based on the early results. Mm-hmm. There's, if they can cut the legs out from a problem before it becomes a forever problem, then so be it. Unbanning Smuggler's Copter lets aggro decks maybe do something. give you another avenue to do something. And then Karn's been there forever and has always kind of been an issue. Got Micah Synthlatus banned for the crimes of Karn. And now they're just, throwing the whole thing out.
I think if you're going to unban something like Smuggler's Copter, though, I would have liked to have let the bannings take effect for like a month or two.
Yeah.
And then decide if we should unban. To see what the format looks like without it, and then decide. Because it's going to feel really weird if Smuggler's Copter just starts showing up in a bunch of stuff. And
it's going to start showing up. That card is very strong.
Yeah.
Like, arguably one of the best cards, if not the best card in Kaladesh, and they had to ban it when it was in everything.
Sure, but creature decks have been struggling in these in both Modern and Pioneer. More in Modern, obviously, because of Fury, which we'll talk about in a second. But I like it when aggro decks are good, even when it's Smuggler's Copter, and I think we'll be okay. I think it'll be fine.
It hurts me because having played in the beta now, 5 years ago? Jesus Christ. Smuggler's Copter was on Arena. It worked. It was there. And then when they got out of beta, they dropped Kaladesh. We have Kaladesh Remastered, but they didn't include Smuggler's Copter because it was banned all to hell at that point. So why bother? Which is unfortunate because I kind of wish they had. But they don't, which makes me a little sad.
So the most popular decks in Pioneer right now are Arclight Phoenix, which this might be in Phoenix because it's a discard outlet. I could see that existing.
That's fair. Yeah.
Rakdos Aggro, which I could see this being in Rakdos Aggro, right? Like it's an aggressive card. It's, you've got a ton of things that can crew it on turns 2 and 3. It's just like fast, quick cards. And then you've got like blue-white control, which this probably won't be in blue-white control.
It will not be in blue-white control.
No.
And then you've got stuff like Boros Aggro, right? Where it's like, and then the like the Loxodon's deck. But I don't know how much the format is going to shift based on Smuggler's Copter being unbanned, as opposed to the decks that are good might play it, but I don't know that they're going to be much significantly better because it exists.
And Karn had the birthing pod problem, which is it was only getting better over the years. Nothing was going to make it worse over the years. Yeah. Like every good artifact, it's like, well, the Karn's going to go get it. It's like, well, of course he is. So let's move on here to Modern, where a lot of people wanted Grief banned because picking apart your hand is a whole thing. But destroying your entire board with Fury is also a thing that happened. And so Fury, the mythic elemental incarnation from Modern Horizons 2, has been banned. And that card was dumb. And there's lots of easy ways to, save your creature that is dying right now to come right back onto the battlefield. And the fact that you're now running those cards, but you only have one card to use it with, which is Grief these days, is going to significantly underpower that deck for what it was, which is nice. And now we can just argue of whether it was right to do Fury or Grief or both of them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Fury is the one that is keeping aggro decks at bay, and I would rather have aggro decks be playable, ... They're still not playable in Modern. We still have Orcish Bowmasters everywhere. So, like, my stuff is still going to just die all the time. But this is a start. And it's better than it was, and Rakdos Evoke is not going to be a quarter of the metagame anymore, which is nice.
Yeah, and I think that's reasonable just to start there. And I get everybody saying, hey, Grief as well should have been gone, which I get it. I get why they would feel that way. But ultimately, this, I think, still allows that deck to exist while just hamstringing it a little bit, right? Yeah. It doesn't completely remove it from the meta, which I think is totally fine. Because even when cards get banned, some amount of people have spent tons of money, trades, whatever, to build these decks. So, like, you don't want to completely remove them if possible.
Right. Just depower a little bit. Now,
yeah.
Let me tell you the exact moment I heard what would get up the Beanstalk ban, and what I feel was the exact moment it got banned, which was when people decided it was better to cascade into Up the Beanstalk than into Crashing Footfalls.
Yeah.
Game was over. You were done. Up the Beanstalk was finished. Once you're like no to 2/4/4s, I would rather just do this beanstalk thing. Oh, Jesus. It's busted.
Yeah.
But that also tells you where the meta was that 2/4/4s weren't crap.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are like, I'm going to get free 8/8 on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, nah, that's not good enough.
Yeah,
I need to just get more cards.
Right.
If it matters, no legacy changes, no vintage changes. Explorer got the same bans as Pioneer because they want to be the same format.
Yep.
And in Pauper, Monastery Swiftspear is banned. Gavin made a whole video about that. And if you play Pauper, you would know how dumb this card is once it reached common status. It was...
Yeah. I mean, Monastery Swiftspear is a card that I've played in Legacy. Like, it's an extremely powerful card.
Yes,
so
very, very powerful.
I was shocked when it was printed in Pauper. I am not shocked that it is now banned in Pauper.
There you go. So speaking of formats and formats that we can now play forever, we have what is arguably Arena's vintage that has been announced, and that is Timeless. A new arena format. And you know it's got to be a big deal because every time you make a new format, you slice that player base just one more time. Yep. So you got to make sure it's worth it. Now, this is basically, everyone loved the basically, all unbans historic or whatever. And you couldn't unban everything because Tibalt's Trickery is annoying, Channel is dumb, and will be like 30 to 40% of your metagame. And you also don't want everybody to use Demonic Tutor. So they said, okay, how about we have Timeless, which is non-rotating, constructed format with 60 card decks. It's going to include the fetch lands from Cons, which is coming out next week, which is awesome, by the way. And if you haven't played Cons, you haven't got a chance to play Cons Limited, you're going to enjoy yourself. It's fun. But this is everything on the client. You can only play one channel, one Demonic Tutor, one Tibalt's Trickery. Everything else is whatever, fair game. And I can't help but think that Timeless is just another word for vintage, and that's rad. And it's coming to Arena on December 12th, again with Cons of Tarkir, which is awesome. And to celebrate the release of the new format, they have a few promotions and events planned, including new to Arena, Timeless Dragon from Modern Horizons 2. I thought this card was going to be way better than it ended up being.
Agreed.
But it's still a very cool card.
But here we
are. It's just not great, and that's fine. But yeah, that's super cool. And Midweek Magic is going to feature the Timeless format and have an additional Cons of Tarkir pack reward. That's going to be great. And y'all can do the metagame challenge shortly thereafter, which is cool. So it's going to have its own goods and bads, ups and downs. It's going to have all the historic stuff. It's going to have all the alchemy stuff. And when Modern Horizons 3 comes next year, it's just going to get supercharged.
And that's why this format exists.
Right.
Because
like, somewhere for that set to land, so when it comes out, it doesn't really interfere with everything else, but it still makes sense to pick it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I am the most excited about this format of any format announcement that I have been a part of, and I believe that includes Modern. I am more excited for Timeless as a format than when they announced Modern. Because finally there is a place to play all of the stuff on Arena that we want to play. Evan, there's a place to play Oko.
I can play Oko!
You can finally play Oko.
Oko, I'm
Look
so
at you,
excited.
My guy.
He is literally unplayable anywhere until this announcement.
He's playable one-where.
I will take it. Just the one. Everybody gets one. Everybody gets one.
That's right. And I think it's great. And if you're going to be Magic's premier online program, and you're going to have cards available on that program, you should be able to play all of the cards somewhere. And now they will be. And I think that's great.
I mean, the fact that you can play Channel and Tibalt's Trickery, you might as well be able to just play Oko too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me play my Oko. I know he's busted. That's the reason I want to play him.
Right.
Because he's fun and busted. So congratulations to Mark Rosewater. The other day on December 4th, he wanted to publicly celebrate a big anniversary. 20 years ago, technically December 3rd, 20 years ago, he became head designer for Magic. An absolutely wild ride. They had his job for 2/3 of Magic's life. Huge honor. Rosewater is incredible. Super cool guy. I've met him and talked to him many times over the years. Yep. Magic's in fantastic hands. I think they've done nothing but try new, neat, interesting stuff. And even when it blew up in their face a few times, I'd rather try the energy stuff, for example, than to have never tried it at all. And now they're using energy in the Fallout decks, which I think is going to be really cool and fun and interesting. And we'd have never gotten that if we hadn't tried it out when they did at the time. And all these sort of innovations we've had over the years, all the crazy stuff that was too crazy, split cards, double face cards, double face lands, all that stuff that people said was impossible is very possible. And it's because a lot of what Rosewater was just saying, you know what, let's give it a shot. Let's go and see what happens.
But you need that innovation, right? I mean, you're talking about a game at this point, it's coming up on 32 years or whatever it's been around. Like, you have to try new things in there, and not everything, no matter how much you test it or whatever, is going to be a home run. Like, there's going to be something that gets missed, or something that works with a random card from a bad set that nobody plays with ever that you just overlooked, and that's okay. I think as long as they continue to be nimble enough and they're active enough to keep the formats balanced, not be afraid to ban stuff or whatever, go wild, try new things. We need now. Some of it does seem more obvious than others. We're talking about stuff like companions. But, yeah, at least we did a thing and we learned from it. It's an interesting bit of magic and a point in time, if nothing else anyway.
I can't believe he's been unsuccessful in killing magic for 20 years.
He's tried so hard.
What a failure. What an absolute...
Hey, at least 3/4 of his tenure as one of the lead designers, people have been saying Magic's going to die. So,
right.
Yeah, Magic's so dead.
It's and he hasn't figured out how to do it yet.
Can't figure it out, and it's cool. It's interesting where, he talks about, and this is like some of it in his podcast, for example, I was listening the other day, and he talks about paperclip designs. And paperclip designs are like, once you see the paperclip and once you use the paperclip, you're like, oh, that's the most obvious thing in the world. Like, of course, that's why paperclips look like that and work like that. When you get a great design, it just works. And that's where he was at the time. He was talking about set symbols. He's like, when you get that great set symbol, it just clicks, and you're like, oh, damn, it's always supposed to be that. It was always supposed to be the Phyrexian symbol for the Phyrexian set or whatever. And I love that stuff as well. And I think he's found a lot of those paperclip designs in Magic. I think they continue to look for them. And I'm excited to be along with the ride. And even when we get crazy companions and things, as some people has mentioned, even think Patrick Sullivan was like, companions can work. They can't, if the restrictions aren't dumb, if you don't overpower them, they could be interesting. They could be fun. But again, you have to know where the line is. Sometimes you got to cross it to find it. So there you go. All right. Cool. Let's go ahead and turn over here to Desperate Ravings. Interesting announcement / change in the world of Card Kingdom. They have ended 60 card format support for a while in terms of the content they want to sponsor and or produce / publish, which is interesting. As someone who does oversee lots of people who write about all sorts of things or make content for all sorts of things, that's definitely interesting. And there's still people on CSI's payroll that do write about 60 card formats and what those things mean. I don't think 60 cards are dead per se, but I do recognize and or understand that a lot of the audience is looking for silly commandery type stuff and just is not interested in running 4 copies of anything versus show me some crazy combos that happen with this 100 card deck.
I think though, kind of even part of the discussion we had in the pre-show, it's not even so much that they're not looking to play 4X something, it's just they're wanting different stuff, right? People want the interesting decks. Like when Jim does his what he's called his 10 new brews every set or whatever, right? People want to look at all the weird things you can try. Or Yeoman 5 does his 50 decks every set or whatever, right? People want to check that stuff out. They're not wanting just to okay, we're going to break down how mono red beats mono white in sideboard games or whatever and read these really long whatever articles, right? That's just not the nature of the current community. I mean, and the people who do want that probably can go get it in a video or something anyway, right? You need the people that are going to be doing more creative and weird things. And I think that's what the draw is right now, more than the super deep strategy.
I felt like,
agreed.
Yeah, I felt like there was a point in which a lot of people sort of paid attention to the 60 card based articles, if you will, because they were hoping for that tech. You know what I mean? They're hoping for that tech and all that. Either something that broke it or something that techs out their deck to make it way better, against the field than it was or whatever. So that then you can go buy a playset and then you have your playset ready for the next event. Whereas that's just not the case anymore. And between a lot of the power level kind of lifting, but also kind of leveling, as we talked about, there's not really that need to find it, to figure it out. It's like, it's not really there.
It sort of feels like a speed of information thing too, though. If lots of people are playing a deck, then you're going to be able to find the answers you're looking for a lot easier. But if you're, like we're saying, one of those people looking for a fringe card, like some of the stuff we were talking about in the pre-show, right? That's the thing where you're only going to find a handful of people that even have attempted to build a deck with that card, and that's going to be more interesting to you. So I get why they're cutting some of it. I'm with you. I don't think it's gone. I think there's still a space for it. I just think the focus is different now.
Yeah.
So moving on to focuses that are a little frustrating. Someone was noting, Mason Clark on Twitter in particular was noting that his Nexus of Fates aged well, his buy a box foil promos, because as of the Secret Lair, there are now non-foil versions. And if all you have are the foil versions, you don't automatically get a judge scribbling on planes anymore, because that had to happen when there were no non-foil versions, and now there are non-foil versions. So, womp womp.
That's
a little awkward, but
interesting.
Someone kind of explained it, and they were like, well, thank you, and this sucks.
I mean, sort of, but I'm trying to think of all the times I've seen Nexus of Fate played recently.
Fair. And again, the head judge can do whatever they want. Ultimately, if they want to scribble on planes, they can. It's just a lot less likely to happen now.
I bet you most still would, honestly.
I think they still would, ultimately, just because how are you going to get the Secret Lair versions, even if they're sold in the building? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's sort of like, it's a relevant point. But the people that are upset about it sort of feel like you're just like shouting at the clouds. Because, are you really playing Nexus of Fate in any deck right now in the formats where it's legal?
Good question.
I don't know of a deck at least not a deck that's dominant that's playing it.
Right. And because there is that, the head judge can ultimately do what they want. That leeway still exists, which is also nice. It's a pressure release valve. If you're in dire straits and you're like, I'm sorry, the only ones I could find was this. Someone noted that Secret Lair is hard to get outside of the U.S. Same reason, right?
Yeah.
It's just impossible. So, look, I'll tell you a story. Imagine,
story time.
little Evan, 1980s, right? I'm being babysat and I'm having to watch the Nashville Network because that's what the babysitter likes or whatever. And I'm getting a lot of country. And onto the screen comes Time and Time Life. And they would like to sell you a commemorative coin of Elvis Presley.
Yeah,
Elvis Presley will be on this coin.
Or President Eisenhower.
Right. Sure. Or Ronald Reagan. Pick somebody they like or whatever. So go. And so we have Elvis. Elvis was on a lot. So I'm singing Elvis. So you have Elvis Presley, greatest rock and roll star of all time. You today can get him on a plate, or you could get him in a coin, which is what it reminds me of when I see the 2023 Alpha Black Lotus 2-ounce silver coin for $300.
Sure.
Is this the boomer coins of our day? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, sure.
Well, okay.
Are we boomer coining?
This isn't completely unreal for Wizards to do. Remember, we had that Liliana 1-ounce silver thing.
Oh, yeah. And Jace.
2 years ago, maybe?
Oh, no, it was way longer.
Was it longer than that? I don't know.
10 years ago.
I lost track with the pandemic, but yeah, so we've done something like this before, so I'm not too surprised to see this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, silver is worth money. Listen,
sure.
I don't want to sound like a prospector, but there's silver is where the future's at, ladies and germs.
Sure is.
You want to invest in fiat currency? No, sir. You want to invest in a weird online conglomeration of hucksters and con artists that all have decided to believe in an algorithm for currency? Also, no, sir. Silver and precious metals is where it's at, because I'm from the past. But anyway,
Now-
the point is that, it's worth something even if you melt it down. And I think that this is cool. I think it's like a fine thing.
It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's silly.
It's got like $50 worth of silver in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
That's something.
That's something.
The rest is you're paying $200 some for collectability.
Right.
Anything else.
You're paying it because it's got like, this nice packaging you can show off on your shelf. And it's cool. And it's for the Magic player that has everything type thing.
I will say this too, though. Like, it's one of 500 or 499 or whatever.
Sure.
There are a lot of weird things in Magic that have come out over the years that people kind of just went, oh, well, that's a cool curiosity. But then 10, 15 years later, it's worth $1,000, right? Like, remember those like Castle Brain game mats that were like these weird cloth thing? And they were not even good, but you can't even find one of those for under a couple $100 anymore.
Yep.
Right.
They made like a weird ceramic deck box that had that just grated when it like slid off the top or whatever. I saw one of those for sale for like $400 a couple years ago. So there's a chance you buy this and someone down the road, you can go on Facebook to the Magic Rarities group and somebody's going to want one because they didn't even know it existed.
Agreed.
It's going to be worth $5 in Samoa. Like all the time, like forever. And I think that's because you have to provide a currency value to currency that you mint or something. I don't know. It's weird.
I'm going to go to Samoa and buy a coffee.
Pour one out for this. Pour one out for the Jace shoes. You know what I mean? Remember the Jace shoes?
I do. And the Jace coin.
And the Jace coin.
This is
from
weird.
way
I'm
back.
like, I don't really want it, but I'm also kind of interested as a curiosity.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For the Magic the Gathering numismatist in your life.
It's
if you have any coin collectors, this is a fine thing.
Look, this is the
just
flex.
Falls on just interesting enough that
right.
And it's priced at the number that it's not crazy to buy it. You know what I mean? If it had been like 500, you'd be like, no way.
This is the type of stuff that Zvi and John Finkel and Kai. This is what they coin flip with.
Oh, perfect!
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Call Lotus.
This is the best thing to coin flip with.
Yeah. You want to call Lotus and just flip this? That's what I'm talking about. That's just the drip. The sick drip.
It's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of cool. Will I buy one? I don't know. Probably
Absolutely
not. But
not.
but it's priced
adorable.
in a way that if you just want that rare thing and you're looking for a Magic investment, it's priced at the right.
Or if you
number.
have a chance encounter commander deck and you need
That's
the
also
fanciest
super cool.
possible coin.
Yep. You're
As a
gonna damage
soccer
it doing
referee,
that, but,
I have a lot of commemorative coins. A former soccer referee. I've got a whole thing upstairs of coins from soccer tournaments that I've refereed at. They're not made of silver. They're not worth $5 in Samoa, but I've got them, and they're fun. They're fun to have like a big, like a slammer for your paws.
Let's also be real though. There's a lot of Commander players that will spend insane amounts of money to have the flashiest, blingiest, whatever thing that themes up their deck. So some number of players will want to buy this
for sure.
Tyrannosaurus scrambled egg version of flipping any coin ever, which is incredible. But yeah, that was fun. And let's go ahead and move ourselves over here to the finisher. Now, from the historical popularity of Clue and Agatha Christie to the more recent popularity of Among Us and Werewolf, it's been a long time coming for Magic to make a murder mystery expansion. So tell me, now that the bridge is washed out and we're all stuck in here together for the rest of the night, what trope are you hoping comes in Karlov Manor, Ruben?
Well, other than that one, the bridge is washed out and then somebody dies at the end of Act 1. Most murder mysteries are dependent on surprising the audience with a shocking finale. So I'm looking forward to solving the format and the mystery early with a new discard spell that reveals all of my opponent's cards called Spoilers.
Nice. Power Dragon?
Well, hey, everybody loves a good buddy cop team up, right? So let's get the energetic, little scrappy, by the book rookie and the kind of like seen it all, disillusioned, grizzled veteran together. Maybe even as commanders, be partnered with mechanic. Or we can get a split card that's just good cop, bad cop.
Oh, I saw what you did there. Now, there's nothing more iconic in a murder mystery than the final showdown where the detectives and investigators finally catch the bad guy. So I'm hoping for an alternate win con, where if you get a bunch of clues, you win the game. and we name it The Big Twist.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, you thought this game was going to end to damage, but it was not.
As long as it's not Scheherazade.
Sure.
It was Shahrazad with a lead pipe all along. Who knew? And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Power Dragon.
Hey, as always, good to be here. Remember, leave one of those 5-star ratings and a good review for us.
That's free. That's appreciated. Thank you, Ruben.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you soon. See you next week.
That's right. As we move on here to our final slide, I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuff8.com, our co-sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-host, Power Dragon, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.